Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Harun akhi ishdud bihi azri wa ashrikhu fi amri kay nusabbihaka kathira wa nadhkuraka kathira innaka kunta bina basira. Ve sallallahu ala Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve ashabihi ve etbahi ve sellem. Rabbena gfir lana verhamna ve ente hayrul rahimin. Amin. Velhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Amin. Yes, you have a question,
Yes.
and we can start with this question, although
It's like
the content of the question is not directly related to the subject we are going to study, but it is somehow related.
Okay.
While we are waiting for the people to come.
Sure. So my question is, for someone, based off of the discussion that we had, not in the previous Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, if one was to have that understanding of fasting where it's not just limited to the physical act where you're depriving yourself of food for a certain time and other actions that is commonly understood to be fasting related. If one was not doing those things while being
Those things means
let's say I'm eating food, and yet I'm completely mindful of the true intent of why fasting, or what fasting is, and I'm practicing every other sense of it, but not the food aspect of it. By definition, am I still fasting? And I guess, I don't know if I should build on top of it. I must say that fully knowing that you want to, even like not eat food, but let's say you can't. You're in a
for any reason.
For any
Yeah.
reason.
Isn't that valid to ask this question for a person who cannot go, for example, sit or maybe stand for a longer period while he's praying,
Yes.
performing the prayer, ritualistic prayer? It is the same, isn't it?
Same.
So this is the problem for us, that we reduce the ritualistic prayers as prayers as it is prescribed in the Quran, maybe demonstrated by the prophetic tradition in physical terms. But we have to understand that these ritualistic prayers have their reasoning behind their physical actions. Physical actions must be used as means of reminding ourselves in this physical world. Otherwise, we have to be praying. That's what the subject we are going to study today about worship. We have to be praying, we have to be fasting as much as possible. It is not really practically possible all the time. Welcome, man. Welcome. Please. It may not be possible all the time to keep this awareness, because we get very easily tired of this awareness, but at least occasionally we should try to remember. This is the worship that we are going to study today, the gist of the worship, the crux of the worship is this. We will separately study that. But ritualistic prayers are the physical vehicles to put it into the physical forms of this physical forms, which is appropriate to the physical conditions of this world. That's why we have to do the physical actions as much as we can, or as long as we can. Any reason, if we cannot do it, then again, the ritualistic requirements of the ritualistic prayers exempt us from practicing it in physical terms, but as much as we can. That is the regulation in in terms of the physical world. Our understanding may be, but mostly it is the case, based on understanding the physical, ritualistic prayers, everything, starting from praying, which we call it prayer, salah in Arabic, and going into fasting, giving to charity, the physical action of giving away from your own property, which is under your supervision or under your usage, to giving it away, to, if you like, sacrificing it from your own usage in favor of another needy one, more needier person's benefit. And going on Hajj, for example. Why do we have to go to a physical place in order to be in the presence of Allah, God? I mean, I can be in the presence of God anywhere where I am. So if it is the requirement to, we said during the discussion that you referred to 2 weeks ago, we said fasting takes the daytime of the day, but for 30 days and only during daytime. But when you are in ihram, special clothing while you want to perform your pilgrimage, again, ritualistic prayer. In 3-4 days, the real prayer time or the Hajj time, pilgrimage time. Terms, as we understand, during the fasting we perform during Ramadan, the month of Ramadan. No, but a kind of fasting from being concerned with anything else but the aspect of the creation, which refers to the Creator and being in His presence for 3 days with no interruption, while we are praying 5 times ritualistic prayers. You are 10 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on how fast you recite, for 10 minutes, and then you release from yourself in physical terms. But the mentality, the understanding capacity, the realization must always be with us as much as possible, not in physical terms. For example, you may be doing your shopping, but at the same time being in the presence of Allah, maybe much more than while you are praying, when you are doing your shopping, let's say in the grocery section, you see all kinds of bounties of the Creator. They are so attractive, beautiful, colorful, etc. You know the taste of them. You choose as you want. You feel yourself that really you are at a banquet. This consciousness, this physical condition may prepare or give you a better opportunity to really in the presence of God. But it is not prayer. So our understanding of the prayer in ritualistic sense, our understanding of ritualistic prayers is reduced to only the physical aspect of it and mostly ignore the reason behind it, which what are we doing, what we are doing, these physical actions. And this is a mindset, if you like, behind our mind. This understanding must be always working like the computer's memory behind the screen continues to work. I don't know, but that's what I hear from people. So it never stops. And it must be working behind it during our daily life. It is ideal. But we are weak human beings. We are fallible human beings. We forget. These are the, if you like, occasions from one aspect. In other aspect, they are the opportunities for us to put them into physical form and remind us in physical terms. For example, the best example is what? You are hungry or thirsty and you are fasting. Not the best example. Best example, this is maybe a second best example I'm going to tell you now. Let's take the first best example. When you are prostrating, what are you doing? Physically, what are you doing? Your consciousness is there. Physically, you are telling your body, and in physical form, during your life period, within the physical form, you are reminding yourself through the action of your body that you have nothing to claim before the Creator. Because that means that I am zero as compared to the absolute one. I think every number represents the value of infinite, but the best number represents the value of infinite is zero. Full contrast, zero, infinite. Full contrast. Do you see that? The prostration represents zero in order to make the infinite appear in its full brightness in our consciousness. That's a physical explanation. The second best example is during your fasting, the weather is okay now. Let's assume that you are in desert during the long summer days and half an hour before sunset. You are really starving of food and thirst. You say, no permission. I am sorry, sir, to yourself, of course. Or, madam, wait until the permission is given to come to the banquet. From what? From the owner of the banquet. It is not given yet. What are you doing now? You are dying for food or water, maybe food and water, but because the permission is not given to you through your recognition of the ownership of the banquet that you are going to now benefit from or use. That realization is expected to be alive more and much brighter than ever. That is worship. That is why we practice it in physical terms. That's why we are asked, that's what I understand. Why the physical ritualistic prayers are prescribed for us. What was the reason? This is the reason. To remind us, physically experience it. I understand all the rules, they call it commandments, prescribed in the Quran and also through the practices of the Prophet are valid within this physical conditions of the world, which is needed by human beings, because we keep forgetting. For example, sorry, came something, but to my mind, but it's not a good example. Okay, forget about it. That's what we needed in the physical world. We have to acknowledge that we are living in the physical world. So this kind of requirements are presented to us, but there is no sign in the speech of the Creator that in paradise there will be another type of body. But the conditions will be completely different, and we won't be responsible to do anything but just entertain. No prayer, no fasting. But consciousness is practice. The level of consciousness yourself is practiced in the physical terms of new creation. No, with no responsibility anymore, because it is not the place where you can make further realization or further development or upgrading your understanding in this condition. That's why in the condition of the next generation, that's why the Quran keeps reminding us that, look, it's while it is not yet the end, use the opportunity and develop your ability to become more and more aware of the reality. This kind of understanding, or the question which you asked, is related to our misconception of ritualistic prayers. We reduce it to its physical form only, and if someone is not able to, as you said, sincerely, genuinely wants to do it, but not able to do it physically. So physical requirements are dropped when it is not physically possible. Do you understand the logical connection now?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. So you cannot stand up for a long time for health reason, and you are not required to stand up, sit, lie. If you cannot, I exercise this. Or believe me, I was in a condition for a short period. I could not lift up my hand so that I can make tayammum like this. Like this. I made the tayammum like this. I don't know how can I show it like this. Intention. That's the only thing I did with my eye. It's perfect, okay. Because in ritualistic prayers, I'm repeating what the conclusion we arrived. In ritualistic prayers, it is only the physical side of the matter of your understanding level to be put into practice. If God gives you a health reason that you cannot do that physical side, you are not responsible, because if you like, it is God's responsibility. He disabled me to do that. Do you understand? So physical form of the prayers dropped. If you cannot fast because of health reason, but as far as the eating and drinking or this kind of physical actions are concerned, that is God's decision. It's not your mistake. So you take it and don't do it. But the real reason for ritualistic prayers, or any kind of ritualistic prayers, must be practiced if you are able to do it. For example, you cannot do it physically, but intellectually you can remember. Emotionally you can remember. You can practice it. Think about it. And it doesn't drop because you are able to do it. So there is no harm. It is our mistake to understand the ritualistic prayers in a wrong way. That's why. It is the problem. So we come back to, it's a very important practical question. So we can come back to our chapter, inshallah, Deniers. And we studied enough the whole day, more than hour and a half, talked about the first verse. I'm not intending even to summarize it because it is understood. If it is understood, if it's not, I cannot summarize it to make it much clearer than what we did. So last week, so the page 2.
Verse 2.
But the page, okay, verse 2. Now, addressee are deniers, right? Not negligent people. Negligent people are to be reminded here what they are neglecting. Now, the argument is between the deniers. We defined what denier is in the previous discussion. We defined it. So denier is somehow aware of the truth, but doesn't want to acknowledge it, doesn't want to submit to it. Now he says, look, I do not worship what you worship. But the deniers, as we know it, traditionally, deniers don't worship today. Only the believers worship. Right or wrong?
Wrong.
Sorry?
Wrong.
Oh, you are very brave and right. Why? That's good. Good. I want to have, conversation and interaction. So explain what made you say no.
Everyone worships something, whether they define that thing as God, or they define it as nature, or they define it as themselves. Everyone their actions and what motivates their actions. Their actions reflect a sort of worshiping of something, whether that is under a religious context or not.
Now, what reminded me, which I wanted to pick up that point, what do you mean by worship that made you or led you to say everyone worships anyways? What is worship? That is the main point I wanted to, inshallah, discuss with you, God willing. What is worship? Not only you have to answer everyone, what is worship? What do you understand from worship? Even we can use the more familiar Arabic form of the word, ubudiyya, ibadah, ma'bud, abid, abd. This kind of words are mostly used in daily language. Those people who are familiar with Arabic, or in Urdu, in Turkish, in daily Arabic speakers, people are familiar with these words. They are almost common words among Muslim communities. So what is it? If you say, I am abd of God, what abd means really the one who performs worship. Abid, abd, ibadat. Ibadat is the act of worshiping. Ma'bud, the one which is worshipped. Ma'bud, which means God. They translated that. But in the context of the Quran, if we understand what you said, everyone is worshiping anyway, so everyone has a mabud. So what is worship? So what is the one which is worshipped? Why? What defines worship?
Maybe some way of thanking God.
Sorry. Okay. You are welcome. We welcome you. It's your brother seems to be. Yeah. So, look, you define. Are you a student?
Yeah.
Oh, good. You are using your brain. Huh? Okay. Keep using now. Look at. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just trying to make the case clear for all of us. Huh? Don't feel embarrassed. And then, I came and said one sentence, and they started attacking me. I'm not going there again. No, come again. And it is good to have this bravery and speak. But speak out your mind. But let's analyze the sentence you made together. Can you repeat it? In a summary, in a nutshell, yeah. A way of thanking God. Okay. Way of thanking God is the explanation of worship. What are we looking for? The meaning. What meaning is? Yeah, we don't know worship. That's why we are questioning what worship is. You are coming with an answer saying that thanking God. Is it the answer? Because worship is not known, although we know the word, but thanking God is not known too. What does it mean, thanking God? What is God? No, explaining one unknown concept with another known concept. Do you get the point? Because we take it for granted that we know anyways. No. If you don't know worship, you don't know God. So the first requirement is, logically, to understand worship. So you will say, whom am I worshiping? Is called God. Do you understand? Do you see the logical inconsistency? So we have to try another form of explaining the same thing. Yeah, worship. What is worship? So do you think it is better to ask the question in order to clarify the case, the question, in another form? What do you mean by the one who or which or that? By the one that is worshipped. So that if I define, that's a difficult word, by the way, for me. It may be easy for you, especially for those people who are not familiar with the methodology we follow in this class. We never take anything for granted. We never use religious language. Why? It is not a religious class. It is a human class. We are a human being. And I want to be satisfied as a human, not as a religious, taken for granted statue. Oh, it doesn't work here. It is good that you didn't come up with a verse. I would say, come on, what are you talking about? Do you see what I mean? But you, if you like, sneaked into the explanation. I'm not accusing you, right? It may be the case for all of us here, including myself. I just put something unknown into a sentence or a definition which tries to explain another unknown. If I tell you, for example, x is equal to y. What you say? What is y? What does y represent? So, no, it represents x. We say, what is x? What represents x? Y represents x. So it is a vicious circle, vicious reasoning. That's what most of the religious people fall into. Because we don't follow religion after satisfaction, mostly imitating the culture we found ourselves in it. That's why we didn't question from the beginning. Now, what is the one that is worshipped? Let's try to understand the one that is worshipped. What it means, if a thing has this quality, it is worth to be worshipped. It will help me understand worship better. These at the end, I will say these qualities somehow helps me understand. This quality somehow helps me understand one aspect of worship. Because of these qualities deserve, I'm saying, to be worshipped. It means I admire these qualities, right? I say these qualities represent for me that these things that I owe everything to. Is the language correct?
The language is correct, yeah.
Yeah. I owe everything to. This is my point of worship. This is my object of worship. That's why I found it, when I thought about it, I think it is better to understand that which is worshipped. If we understand this, well, what is that? For example, do you think this one is to be worshipped? I'm using the word worship here as a general sentence that we keep using in our daily language, just to get one step ahead. Do you think? Why? It's good that you said no. Why do you think it is not worth worshiping? Although the word I am using, worshiping here, in our daily life, so that we will get closer to the subject.
Because it doesn't give me anything, it doesn't help me in any way, it can't do anything to me, or it's just.
I am waiting for one word. I am waiting for one. It doesn't give me anything. You said that it gives you. I am arguing with you now,
Yeah.
like the Meshaiyun used to do. So I am arguing with you. No, it gives me access to the internet. It doesn't help me. Yes, it helps you. For example, to communicate with the monitor here. And what else did you say? There is an answer to it.
I can do that with many other
One word is missing. One word is missing. I think you wanted to say something. Use your, yes.
It doesn't have its own mind.
Sorry?
And it doesn't have its own mind.
Yeah, okay. It's another point.
It's created by us humans.
So it doesn't have its own mind. So do you think the one who gave it its mind is worthy of worship?
You mean,
Practically. Sorry?
what do you mean?
So it doesn't have its own mind. It means it has a mind which is given to it.
Yeah.
So there must be a source which has provided mind for it. It means gave mind to it.
Yeah.
So do you think that one
Yes.
is worth worshipping?
Yes.
Somebody said, no, come on, you are confusing us. Okay, very good, very excellent. So continue. But somebody says, no, because shall we ask him together?
Yeah, sure.
Why did you say no? How dare you say no? Okay.
It doesn't satisfy any human needs.
Yeah, a little bit the word is coming closer to what I am expecting in your mind. Human needs, it doesn't satisfy my human needs. Let's make it clear. The engineer of this machine doesn't mind, it doesn't satisfy your human needs. Keep this word, okay? Keep this word, human needs. So what do you want to satisfy your human needs?
And
What do you want? But for example, give us an example, help us, give us an example to satisfy your human needs. Speak on your behalf so that we shouldn't
doesn't answer,
speculate on other people.
for example, the question why I'm here, who am I? Basically,
It's getting closer. It's getting closer. So it doesn't satisfy why you are here, which means,
Existential.
Existential questions.
sorry?
Existential questions.
Yeah. It doesn't provide an answer to explain your, be careful with this word now, source of existence. Yeah. Because the main question of human beings, I'm coming to you, not Muslims or Christians or believing people, no, main question for any human being is, or at least must be, if someone doesn't question it, that's up to him. He's free not to question. But at the same time, we have the ability to question, and we have to urge in our real existence to question this. Why am I in this condition? The world, you call it the universe, you call it whatever. It means ultimately, why am I in this existence? Why? Where did I come and why I am here? What is the purpose in my existence? Together with what is the source of my existence, so that I will go and ask that source, hey, why did you give me existence? Yeah? I can ask this question. I must ask this question. Why did you give me that this existence? What am I going to do with it? It looks wonderful, yeah, but what shall I do with it? Why am I here? If you don't know, for example, you are giving the best, most complicated, sophisticated, updated technology production, right? But you don't know what you are going to do with it. What is it good for? Does it have any value? Do you go and buy it and pay some money for it? Be frank. Yeah? There is something there. People say that this is the best technology that that can be produced or presented to you. How much is it? $1. You don't know what it is. What is it good at all? Do you buy it?
Yeah.
$1?
Buy 10 of those.
Sorry?
I said I'll buy 10 of those.
What are you going to do? You don't know what is it good for.
I'll figure that part out later.
No, by definition,
I'll sell it
you
to
don't
someone
know.
else for
Even later on, you
$2.
don't know. You will not know. So I wouldn't pay even $1. So if someone does not know, doesn't question and get some sort of glimpse of the answer for his being in this world, is worth even not $1. How can you say that human honor? What does it mean? What honor? You don't deserve to be paid for $1. What do you mean by your human honor and human beings are sacred beings, etc., etc.? Do you understand it? If we don't, I'm sure you do. That's why you are in this class, because we question this in this class. Otherwise, normally speaking, if somebody don't ask and inquire the answer to this question, why am I here? What am I worth? What is the value of my existence? This man is worthless, doesn't deserve to be paid 1 cent, or ignore it. And what is essential is to explain first, what does existence mean? Second, what does my existence mean? And where did I get it, so that I will communicate with this source and be appreciative of his action. But I have to question first, what am I worth in this world? Do you get me? Did you get? Yeah. So we are being just a human being going into the subject and understand what we are worth. Now, if you say that I am valuable, then you can go back to the example. Now, this one is very useful and valuable in order to make its existence in my possession, in my house. Let's make the subject easy. Take it to my house. It is worth it because it is valuable, it is useful for me. Then I can pay according to the value I assign to this object. If it is very, very valuable, I can pay thousands of dollars. If it is somehow 1,000, it's okay. It is helpful, 500. Because, yeah. So according to the value of my existence, that I realize its value, I will be considering my own self as a precious, valuable being. Considering my own self. So that is human respect, we call it. Human honor, we call it. But how much are we really assigning value? How much value are we assigning to our being? Accordingly, we will be respectful and pay for the one who provided this value for me. Do you get somehow a vague, cloudy understanding of worship, this communication? But if you don't know your value, the one who provided your existence has done something useless. What are you going to appreciate about it? Somebody did something useless for you. What are you going to do with him? Forget about it. He's a useless man for me. Somebody wanted this. No,
I have a question.
you were positive. Okay.
I guess when you rephrased the question and you said, let's ask, what is worthy of being worshipped? Was that roughly the question?
Who is that which is worship?
Yeah, and I understand that you're trying to fasten up the process to save time. But at the same time, I think, and rightfully so, that question is pretty much very loaded with a lot of another unknowns.
Yeah,
right?
that's why we are trying to uncover this unknown, or discover this unknown by approaching the case from different perspectives.
But then the moment you ask that question in that particular way, I feel like you in the sense we negate the possibility of worship being something that isn't worthy of worship. I could worship the concept that everything is meaningless, for example. If that was to be true, then the question doesn't make sense. The question wouldn't fit. So I was struggling with that. I was
Now-
trying. Yeah.
If a person thinks that, if a person, if you can find such a person in the world, thinks that this world is worth nothing, my existence is worth nothing, my feelings, emotions, intellect are worth nothing, what this man do? Stay at home, don't move or commit suicide,
Yeah.
because existence is pointless. But these people, I don't think anyone in the world, in this, everybody attach something worth living, somehow his existence attached some sort of quality or value to his existence. That's why we don't commit suicide, or we don't really go in bed or in bed and don't move at all. Why? It is not worth. It means a kind of suicide. So at the end, you don't eat, you don't drink. It's not worth it. But there is no such person. Even those people practically committing suicide, what do? They see one problem, they say, together with one problem, it's a very important point, by the way, the subject, by the way, to study suicide. Very important subject. One problem which makes the rest of my existence worthless. In fact, if there was a solution for this problem, if there was no such a problem, my living is worth. That's why they see it is worthless to live in this world, because most of the people commit suicide because they see no point in their existence,
Right.
because not because they are worthless, because the problems of life, and also if you like this expression, pressure of existence is so heavy, they don't really carry it. What they do, throw it away, because I cannot carry it anymore, because they didn't find the solution to understand this, if you like, for them, mystery of existence. They didn't get the right answer, but still they are hoping what? For a solution. Because they didn't find it, they despair. They couldn't find solution for it. They fall into despair and commit suicide. But if a person has one glimpse of hope, they try that one in order to keep their precious existence. So everybody, for example, even a person says, I am the product of nature. I think somebody said it here. You said, I'm the product of nature. And what they say, I am grateful to nature. I'm respectful to Mother Nature. He provided me, it provided me, she provided me these opportunities. It means the value, this person is attaching to its existence is worth taking it and keeping it due to the source, which this person calls nature. Due to this cause, that's why I am alive here. I like living and to continue my life. That's why he is alive. Because all the virtues he attached to its existence refers to something, which in the example, nature, which is nature in the example. So although it may be right, it may be wrong, let's not decide now, it is too early to decide, but his attribution of the value of his existence to nature is not correct, but enough reason for him to live in this world. And this kind of people usually propagate their understanding in order to justify themselves or confirm within themselves that, look, some people also agree with me, so I am right. Still, whatever the nature, the concept of nature represents for him, it is the object of worship for this man, because he or she sees its existence, the value of its existence is due to this one. Now, this is the second stage question now. What is the right attribution of this verse, no, worth qualities in my existence, so that this attribution to this source will put me in the form that we call it the worship. Worship means very simple. Now, it became simple to my mind at this stage. Worship means attributing all the values to a source and being appreciative of this source. Because of this source, I keep my existence and I am happy with it. Although, practically speaking, we may have some problems. The car is working, going anyways, but you may have some problems. There may be light problems, not working, not blinking, maybe brake is not working properly, but still, car somehow is running. So the car represents my existence, makes existence right. If someone doesn't really makes his existence completely worthless, is living. In the world, people all live, those people who practically commit, as we see it in the world, not because they see their existence worthless, because they are despaired of the satisfactory source of answer. They don't get satisfactory answer, so they say the life is not worth living. Most of the people, for example, especially the young people, commit suicide. They feel no value in their existence, and it is better to die, and which is right, which is consistent for them. If the existence has no value, that's correct. Why do you keep it? We said, if the existence of this machine, the most sophisticated machine, is worthless for me, do I pay $1 for it? No. Well, it is worthless for me. It may be in itself, well, I don't know. As far as I see it, it has no value. So if our existence is worthless, we live it. We don't really try to keep it. Why? It is not worthless. So further.
Just building on this concept, I guess, why do you think, or what do you think is the wisdom in using the word what, not who, in that verse?
Which one?
I do not worship what you worship.
Yeah.
Because for me, what opens multiple doors to concepts. Like I could have a concept of reality which could be far away from the actual reality,
Yes.
and what completely would match that, right? But the moment I say who, it almost necessitates that it has to be some form of entity.
It means worthy of worship. It means really the right object of worship.
Yes, but the moment I might be thinking outside of what we're really just, I know we're only trying to study worship, but I'm also looking at the overall verse, like the concept of like, I do not. So
worship what you worship.
Yeah, if I'm talking about what I'm not worshiping, that should entail other than just entities. It should also entail concepts, understanding.
Not also. I think it is the only matter here, the concept. Yeah. It means I don't worship the concept that you attribute the value of your existence to.
Yeah.
What you attribute the value of your existence to as the object of worship.
Yeah.
Now, it explains the verse. It doesn't really contradict the verse. It explains the verse. It helps us. Thank you for your help. The worship is becoming a bit clearer.
Yeah.
Now the clouds are disappearing. Though the wind is coming and taking the clouds away. Do you agree? So far, not completely, because the stage one describe or define the worship. The stage two, if the worship, the definition of worship is attributing the value of your existence to a source. As a result, communicating with that source as worth to be taken into consideration and to connect my existence to, right? For example, I go to the shop or the store, so I am looking for a valuable thing for me, a gadget, a tool or a machine or whatever it is, and buying it from there in order to go to buy it. Now, if I find the object that I attach value to, right? It is there. In order to appropriate it to myself, what do? Can I just take it and walk out?
You work and get the money.
Pay. Yeah, pay for it. And you work in order to make this money and then go and pay it. It means you said some part of, it's a good answer, some part of your life you deserved or reserved to make the money by working, using your life, consuming your life in this way, so that you get the money in order to get something which is worth than your period of life. It means $100, $500, whatever. So you go and pay it and come back because you attributed value to it. Now, the object represents here in our discussion, the object here, the object that I attach value. It means my existence. The more value I attach to my existence, then I am worth. Realize not your physical existence only, your human existence, all your human qualities. I realize that these are really very important, valuable stuff in my existence. So they are worth everything. The physical example is given, for example, if I give you $1 million, you may be desperate like me financially. So if somebody says, look, I need transporting, that transportation, transplanting. So thank you. So I transplanting, but the doctor asked me to find a living eye now. So we will take it and put it in your eye socket. Socket? I don't know the pronunciation. Socket. Thank you. So eye socket. I come to you. Be frank. Financially somehow in a bad condition. Can we take one of your eye? The one is enough for you. I have another one, $1 million. Think about it. Be frank. Would you pay? Would you give your eye and sell it for one? Look at this is eye, not the power of sighting. Power of sight. Eye, physical eye. Not the power of sight. Many people have the physical eye, but they don't have power of sight. We call them blind. Yeah? It means eye is different from power of sight. They are not asking you, or in this example, I am not asking you to give your power of sight. No, I am saying, give me your eye, just a tool. $1 million through Frank. So you know that this guy cannot pay $1 million, so it is just an example, made up story. But in reality, you are facing this offer. What would you say? You say no. How can I convince this man? 2 million. Oh man, this is very greedy. 3 million. No, this is an often auction, you know. No. Can you imagine? This is just a tool.
Priceless.
Sorry?
His eye is priceless.
Priceless. This is physical. Now, this is only physical eye, not the power of sight. For example, many people have the eye but don't have the power of sight. If it was possible, if they come to you, look, your eye will be there, but can you sell me the power of sight? 10 million? You see, that just as the physical side and the power of sight. How about your thinking ability? How about your loving feelings, your emotions? Do you want to have all your physical body functioning, but you are consciousless? Would you like to prefer to be like that? But you will get billions.
It reminded me from when you started out, when you said when we pray, and that sometimes if we're not there, our mind is not there, we're not consciously into it, then it would be better for us not to have eyes that we might see what we're missing because of them.
Yeah. So this, for example, can you put a price on consciousness? No, those people live in the hospital. In hospitals, they call it the plant life, or how do they call it?
Vegetation.
Vegetable life. Vegetable life.
Yeah.
So, whatever the price they pay you, would you like to sell your existence, but in the condition that you will become, you will live in a vegetable life? Priceless. Even one eye is priceless. Everything is priceless.
For me, there's only one thing:
So,
God's will. God's
so now don't go into God. You know.
will.
So whatever it is word. So no. Thank you. Now we have to follow the reasoning. Now steps of reasoning. Now where we are here now, that our existence is so valuable that we cannot give a price to it. Okay, I am valuable. My honor, millions of other qualities that are given to us, all of them, each of them are valueless. You said, is it the right word to use valueless? You cannot assign any value to it. It's valueless, priceless. Yeah, that's the word I hear people speaking. Priceless. Each of them are priceless. But we have million times of priceless value. Our existence is valuable, isn't it? Yeah. Now, stage 2. It's endless value, stage 2. Where did we get it? How did we get it? From where? Huh? Now we look, we start searching for the source of this value. What is the source of existence of this priceless value? What can it be? So, go back to the possible answers. Give me the possible answer with no traditional knowledge. Huh? Give me the possible answer. No copy-pasting from your religious culture. Tell me something which makes sense to me as a human being. No, for the moment, I'm an atheist. Speak to me accordingly. Okay? What can be the source of existence of my priceless value in this world? Atoms? Can it be?
I was going to say that which is not limited itself.
So, atoms. I don't know how to pronounce it. Atoms? What is it? Atoms?
Atoms.
And atoms.
Atoms and molecules.
Atoms, molecules, yeah. They don't have this quality so that they will give me. So you jumped, but it was the right jump. Nothing in the world can be the source of existence of these values. I am in a despair position now. I'm helpless. Nothing in the world. Where did I get this? It is so valuable. Where did I get this? What is the possible answer? But we should not forget that if something is valuable, it must have a source which can give this value to that object. So it must be the source of existence of these values. Source of existence. For example, this machine, from the beginning you said it's useless. Now, in and of itself is useless. It is just, I don't know, even not a metal. So it is not worth even as a scrap. If it was a metal, you can sell it. They can give you 10 cents or something per pound. But it is not. It is useless completely in itself, in and of itself. But the value which is loaded on it is price. It's worth something. That's why I go and buy it. If I need it, I will buy it for $50, for example. It is worth it. Yes? So, but I have to question, where did this stupid thing, doesn't think, don't have value, don't have free will, doesn't have any knowledge, anything, but somebody has loaded in it this value. When I pay $50, in fact, this money should go to the one who provided the value for this thing. So it is worth it. So I pay $50, and this $50 goes to the engineer. Now, I am now acknowledging the source of this value and expressing it in a way that appreciates the value by paying $50. It means you did a good job, man. It is useful for me. Here is your price. It's communication. Because you found the source. If you didn't have the source, what do you do? You cannot really benefit from it because it is given to you freely, and you don't need to acknowledge it because it is already given to me. I'm using it, but it's human consciousness urges you, hey, you know, you pay for everything valuable. What do you pay? What do you pay for your priceless, endless, valuable existence? You say, okay, but I don't know whom am I going to pay this? You know, paying means corresponding, acknowledging. For example, as a human being, the engineer of this machine, if I go and tell him, look, I appreciate your work. It is good for this and this and this and this, and I need it, but I have nothing to pay. But I really my payment is only appreciation of your work and thanking you. Do you think this man will say, since you appreciate my work, take it? It is human, isn't it? It's human. But not everybody does. That is human relationship. It's just an example in this world that we understand the payment must be in the sense of appreciation, at least appreciation. But appreciation requires what? Acknowledgement of the engineer. So I have to acknowledge the owner or the engineer of my existence, if you like. Now, it is not in the universe. What shall I do? What shall I do? Because I am given the sense to appreciate the engineer of my existence. if you like. This example, I'm using the example. Our body is not engineering. The trillion times more valuable, or I don't know, you cannot really compare with engineering. It is just pure, if you like, if you don't know what word we are going to use at this stage now, we say pure mystery that I exist here. So I say, the very, did anybody want to say something from me? So somebody's moved. If anybody moves his hand, I said, wants to talk, but it doesn't matter. Feel free. So if in the most primitive society, what do? They appreciate it. How? They appreciate the spirit of animal kingdom. They appreciate the spirit of forests. That's what those experts tell us. Although they look down at them, saying that, look, they are thinking that I have read one very famous anthropologist when I was in your age. Not your age, by the way. These people. You and me are exceptions. So there is one there out there. So not this one. The young ones, when I was reading that anthropology as well, taking the anthropology class, and they said they went to Africa, some part of Africa. I didn't know geographically where it's related. It wasn't my concern. And what they found out that these primitive tribes have, this is called fire dancing. Yeah, burning a fire and dancing around. We asked them, why do you do that? I mean, the language is a barrier, but they learn the local language, vernacular language of these people. Why do you do that? We are expressing our thank to the spirit of forest. And this man was himself an atheist. I said, by God, I swear by God, these primitive people are more naturally, existentially consistent than you are. Accusing them because they are communicating with the source of existence of the forest as much as they can see, they can understand. Communicating, paying something in their respect, expressing their gratefulness to the concept they only could develop in the word spirit of forest or spirit of animal kingdom. It means the source of existence of the forest, source of existence of the animals. So they are thankful for it. That's why in the primitive, I'm surprised that in the primitive societies, there is an excellent book, actually. I don't know whether you can find it, but long ago it was quite, how do you say, public. People used to read it. It is called, let me see, Papalagoa or something, the name is. It means the white men coming and invading Australia. And they were saying the white men are coming, they are really wild. The white men, look at this. Really, we have to know what's going on in the world. Try to teach these primitive people, in quote unquote, according to their definition, how to defend their land. White men, the colonizers from Europe, developed, the advanced people. What do they say to the primitive people? They said, this is your land, and this is your tree, this is your animal. You have to protect it. The primitive man said, excuse me, this tree is mine? Yeah, it is in your land. The land is mine? How come? I didn't do anything for it. I didn't do anything for it. It was there. When I was born, it was already there. The tree, I didn't do anything. It grew there. The animals, I didn't do anything. They are just running up and down. But I can benefit from them. They're not mine. They didn't have the concept of ownership. What do you say? The best man. I own nothing. Everything is given. What the Quran is trying to teach us. You know, I'm excited now. The value of the sayings of the Quran says, Allahu Malikul Mulk. The one who gave existence to the whole universe is the only owner of this property of existence, including your existence. It means now we shouldn't put a name because I used a religious source or evidence for it. The one who gave existence to the whole universe together with everything in it, that's what the Quranic language is, you know. Women fihinne. That's, I don't want to go into this religious discussion. In the heavens and in the earth, because earth is very important for our observation, it is very accessible for us. That's why specifically mentioned in the Quran. Otherwise, earth is not a dot in the universe, not a dot. I'm saying, is a dot? No, not a dot. You can just ignore it. But as far as our experience is concerned, we are really communicating with the universe much more than with the sky. So in the heavens and the earth and whatever in it. Including you and me. If I'm very precious, which well, I think we understood that we are very, very precious, priceless precious. And including my existence and the existence of everything around me is not owned by anything, by anyone within the universe. Logically, what I have to say, what the Quran describes it, which we are going to study on Saturday, inshallah. And we will live stream it, by the way, inshallah. We arranged it. Yeah, we will live stream it on the discussion that we are going to have, not physically in New York, but in Philadelphia. So we will be live stream it and upload it in Islam from Within. So you can say, that's what we are going to study. So nothing can be the source of existence of itself and nothing else in the universe, whatever it is in the universe, but the one who owns the universe. It means gave existence to this can be the object of worship. It means I owe my existence to that one. Appreciation. That's why the most civilized, most developed people are the most primitive tribes. Do you agree with Muhammad? They acknowledge the source. What those people who call themselves scientists, they don't acknowledge the source. They just attribute the existence, including their existence, human existence, to accidental evolvement. What an idiots they are. Why is that? No, okay. It is an essential, it makes me excited, this question. Why is that? What I will use a severe language in the form of self-criticism. That's why those people who claim to hold belief in which is represented as the source of existence of everything, the owner of everything, we do this, but we present this claim in the form, you go and see, go to the synagogues, go to the church, go to the mosques, how they present this belief in God as what? Our religion. And what do you have to do? No, you have to say, take shahada, okay? Say your testimony. Say, ashhadu, then you are saved. What does it mean? It is the requirement to become a Muslim. Stupid. So people think, this doesn't mean anything, this idiot people, ignorant idiot people, just self-esteeming themselves, their culture. And they say, in Islam, we fast. Why? Because we are Muslims. Why? But the Quran orders. Why? The Quran is our book. We have to follow. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? It's idiotic defense. They are right to deny my presentation. That's why we have to wake up. Do you know the reason why I don't really, for example, I started this young guy with his answer. I appreciated his answer. He used God. I said, what do you mean by it? So we are Muslims. If you don't believe in God, you cannot become a Muslim. No. What should I do then? You have to believe in God. Yeah. So if you go to the Christian community, they will say you have to believe in Jesus. Otherwise, you cannot become a Christian. If you go to Jewish society, what do they say? You have to be born into a Muslim mother, or through a Muslim mother into the Jewish family. The reason to be a Jew, a Christian, a Muslim have this same denomination, worldly conditions, not your own conclusion. That's why I said today, if we really somehow make the word worship clear, it is worth it. Some of you may come from long distance, it is worth it. So the question is not related to our subject. Why those people, intelligent people, hardworking people, rationally thinking people do not get closer or do not approach religion in the positive way, this right understanding of worship. And I can ask you this question, why is that to you? You seem to be very intelligent and smart. Have you ever heard of worship explained in this way? The recording doesn't record it is live streamed, you know. No, okay. You understand why? Answer is there to me. Somebody may give another answer, I don't know. But to me, answer lies there. We have to wake up. At least you intelligent people say, look, I have to speak to a human being in a rationally consistent way, that if I am convinced as a human being, not as a Muslim, if I'm convinced as a human being without imitating any culture, then this man is a human being. We have the same denomination. We agree on it. So we see the people debating with other atheists, Christians, usually Christians, and rarely atheists. What do? They attack. Your Bible says this. My, our. They don't say my, our, because he cannot really attribute it to himself because it's not his own conclusion. So it is community conclusion, and getting the community support behind him. Our Quran says this. Is it the way of answering? You are a human being. Come on, man, sit down. Let's speak as a human being. Let's know your Bible, my Quran. No. We are human beings, aren't we? Let's talk about it, and we can get closer to them. And I think something will change, hopefully. So, what did they understand that? Since our existence is very precious, priceless, and if we cannot find any source of existence of this very priceless, precious existence, we have to acknowledge that the owner of this, the source of this existence, is nothing of the universe. That is the definition of that which is worth worshipping. The one that which is worshipped. In Arabic, ma'bud. The one which is worth worshipping. If you are, as a human being, not convinced about it, I don't think I cannot give more clear, unbiased explanation without basing any religious claim. So if you really appoint, or if you really grasp that concept, which this concept is represented in the Quranic language, in other also scriptures attributed to a divine source, this concept represents how do you say, put into form God in English, or other languages have their own concepts. That's what I mean. Otherwise, no one can really show me the source of my existence, because it is not within the universe. That is what needs to be established from the scratch. And then we understand that this being must be an absolute being, because I cannot explain this being which is not of the nature of the universe. It must be absolute. And okay, I repeat this example, but you are a new attendee for your beautiful presence here. I'm very happy. Any number cannot represent the absolute or infinite, correct? Infinite is not equal to any number. Now, if you use your mind and come to a conclusion that there must be something not of this universe, how do you call it? Because you cannot represent it with anything of this universe. It means any number of this universe. How do you call it? Logically, infinite. Yeah? Infinite. So the source of existence must be the infinite one. This is called, in the language of the Quran, self-sustaining, self-subsisting, eternal being, not subject to time and space, restrictions, limitations. That is what the description of the Quran is, as named, titled God. That's just a name. So you just use the name, but as a name doesn't mean anything. But it may linguistically maybe refer to some meaning which is difficult, comes from Allah, ilaha, wala, this kind of things. The words I hear a lot when I read a lot. Doesn't matter really. This concept is a name. That's it. But you have to have this awareness. What do I mean by God? Do you follow now? What do I mean by God? The absolute being, the source of existence of everything. My priceless, precious existence belongs to it. Acknowledged? Yeah, be a primitive man. Acknowledged, nothing belongs to you. Yeah? Does your hair, beautiful hair, which I'm jealous, I don't have. So can you say that it is my production? No. Yeah, definitely. How about, I don't know, one hair? Maybe your production. Why do you say, I have a beautiful hair? Why do I bother? I don't have any. It's not mine. That is not yours. This boldness is not mine. In and of itself is nothing, but very valuable. We have to get. Somebody is, blinking now to me. I share your situation with me. So we say, look, it is nothing belongs to anything of this universe. Everything belongs to its source of existence. This appreciation is the way of establishing communication with this and appreciating with this absolute being in the language of the Quran is called worship in English, ubudiyya, abd in Arabic in the language of the Quran. That's so simple. So translation of the word doesn't mean anything. If I say ubudiyya in Arabic, la a'budu, for example, if I say, you understand la a'budu? No. Okay, you don't know Arabic, let's assume. You don't know Arabic, you don't say no. I don't worship, sorry, la a'budu means I don't worship. No, you don't understand still. Because making the word worship rather than saying abudu or la abudu, I don't. So I don't, I worship not. Some people translate it in this way. I worship not. We don't know what worship is. As you don't know what abd means or abudu mean, that it's quite normal, but the language, I keep saying this, the language of the scripture is a vehicle. It's not the object. Learning the language of the scripture does not help you. Concepts must be understood. Concepts. What do you mean by ibadah? I don't know. I don't know Arabic. Okay, what do you mean by worship? I know English. Worship means people go to the church and do funny things there, and the Muslims do even funnier, so that they put just their head down and up and down, and Jewish people keep doing this. Yeah, I mean, they mean something, definitely, but is this what we should understand from the word worship? No. From the beginning, we were just warming up to the subject. This is ritualistic side of it, physical expression side of it, not conceptual side of it. So I don't worship means I don't really attach my existence to what you attach your existence to. The meaning of this verse. Now, did you get it? Get the result? Oh, come up, man.
So,
Okay. I don't worship what you worship. It means I am not connecting my existence to what you are connecting your existence to. Do you get it? Clear?
I'm not clear. So who is saying this to who exactly?
No, I mean, no, you are saying to your own side that what are you doing, Qasim? So, but you can speak to another person if it is the right position of the conversation, rightly and calmly, not with competition. So, especially what we do it within ourselves. In the language of the Quran, what do we say as a testament? The first requirement of testament, it means acknowledging the truth and confirming the truth. What do we say? Ashhadu, I witness, I am totally aware, as if I am seeing it. Witness means what? If you see and physically be sure what's happening, then you are witnessing that event. So I witness what? There is no God within yourself. You are not saying you not your God. No. There is no God but God. Come on, man. What are you doing? Are you crazy? So it means when you say La ilaha illallah and ashhadu an La ilaha illallah, it means you are arguing within yourself. No, 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 not these things, not these things. For example, let's be a primitive man, okay, the most primitive man of the century. Do I own the tree in front of the land that I'm living? No, it's not mine. I didn't make it. Do you own the land, earth, that you are standing on? No, it is given here. It was already there. I own nothing. La ilaha. I really admire this primitive people much more than this pseudo scientist stupid people. If you don't mind, I'm a primitive man. I'd rather be a primitive rather than be a modern scientist, materialist, naturalist man.
So, in the first verse, we said that we have to be very mindful that the verse is talking about deniers, not
Yeah.
necessarily people that are neglectful or
How about the time? Okay, you
808.
a few minutes are left. Okay.
Okay.
What time is the iftar? 9, 10 past. Okay, we have just 2 minutes. Go ahead. Let's
So-
utilize this
yeah,
2 minutes. It's
so
very precious.
The first verse is strictly addressing the deniers, and obviously the second verse is some form of like a continuation of it.
Yeah.
Now, can the concept of worship exist for someone who is neglectful or mindless of their human, the human existence?
Yeah.
So,
So-
if I view my existence to be very materialistic and not this have any sense of human existential
No,
questions.
from the beginning, I know the time is very short. I love
Yeah.
really, especially objecting my reasoning. I love it. I want to see the faults or the breaks, cracks in my reasoning. If I receive any rejection, I love it. So don't worry about it. But the time is very limited. Now, if someone is still living, alive, it means he sees some sort of value in his existence. He prefers to keep his existence in the form of living condition rather than not to live and kill himself, suicide. That's why suicide is very important to understand in this context, so that we may put the things in contrast. So that if someone is not committing suicide, then he must be seeing some value in his existence. So the problem is this person sees the value. Now, attaches the value to whom? To what? That's the problem. Now, when I say you see the value, you attach the value to something other than the one who is the owner of the whole universe. That's very important. Not owner of this one. Whole universe, including this one. Owner. Then I don't worship what you worship. Because I cannot attribute my existence to anything other than the absolute being, whatever it is, because it's absolute. I cannot describe it. But I am absolutely sure that this absolute being must exist. That is what the argument is going on here. Kafir means seeing the value, but attributing not to its own source, but saying that rather than saying the primitive people, we are trying to be a primitive people now. What the primitive people say, the spirit, the source of existence of this forest. This man says accident is the source of existence of the forest. And the primitive people say, excuse me, I don't worship what you worship. Accident cannot give a result into a meaningful, purposeful tree, especially me, but logically inconsistent. So, but you can explain it. These are excuses anyway, which is not our subject is not scientific argument here. So they make up lots of stories Most of them are based on really logically based on inconsistent claims. No, it happened to be, it is natural. This kind of language doesn't mean anything, really. What does it mean, natural? Is it something beyond the nature of the universe? No, it is in the universe. No, it is not. Then it needs to be explained in its own for its own existence. You are being just reasoning. Begging the question what you said. It will require the same explanation again. What you said, it means so. I cannot accept it. That's why arguing with the kafir, it means attributing the value of its existence to not the real, to its real source of existence, but something else. And then, but inevitably, I say, I don't worship what you worship. It means I don't attribute the value of my existence to what you attribute your value of your existence to. That is the disagreement between us. But people mostly are not that much conscious in both sides. That's why we use the demographic distinction, demographic distinction. You come from Muslim background, this comes from atheist background. That's the difference. It is extremely simplistic and not convincing at all. Inshallah, we got the concept of worship. So next week, Wednesday, we will continue from the 3rd verse onwards, inshallah. And this Saturday, online live streaming is possible, and also recordings are possible in Islam from within our, you are taking care of it, web page. And then we will see on Saturday each other in virtual world, not real physical world. But next Wednesday, inshallah, we are here at 6:30. Who wants to go back to 7 rather than 6:30? Are you happy with 6:30? Majority of us seems to be. People are quiet. We don't have time. Okay, 6:30 next week, and we'll see, inshallah, after Ramadan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة السر سورة الفاتحة.